I tell you, the thing that I see that causes the most nervousness in people, and in myself if this ever happens, but I can just see it all the time when I'm interviewing people, is the number one thing that causes people to be really anxious or nervous is if they're running late to the interview. Maybe they got there just in time, but they're so worked up because they thought they'd be late. They're all anxious and they're not prepared. They're not mentally prepared to interview because they're anxious about getting to the interview location on time. Or God forbid that they actually are late. And people are late to interviews. It happens. And they're all apologetic. They're all just all consumed by being late. So the number one thing that causes nervousness is to a high extreme is being late for the interview. And you have to really anticipate that there are going to be things that might happen. There might be traffic problems. There might be a problem with the bus or subway or whatever your mode of transportation. You might have the address and you might get to the wrong location. Or maybe it's a big company. You go to the place it says to go, but you got to go down the street 3 buildings over and try to find the right building for the interview. I mean, it can get real confusing that way. So the key here is to scope out the location and then get there early. Now there's a key part of this. You want to scope out the location, get there early, but you don't want to get there early for the actual interview. You don't want to show up 15 minutes, 30 minutes before your interview or an hour before your interview because they won't be available to talk to you and they'll actually kind of puts managers off. I didn't like when people got there 20 minutes early thinking they were trying to impress me. It's like, no, your time is at this time. It's not impressing me. Now, maybe different cultures, it's different. I'm blessed to have students from over 180 different companies, 158 different countries. So maybe culturally that's a little bit different. But I know most cultures, if you're late, that is not a really good thing at all, and it just causes nervousness. So get there early so you can scope out the location and then go in for your interview, maybe 5 minutes before, maybe a couple of minutes before that, so they know that you're there and you're just 5 minutes before and you're ready for your interview, but you're there and you're relaxed. In fact, if it's nearby or you have the opportunity to go to, if it's a place you're not familiar with, to go there a day before just to see where it is and understand the amount of time it might take to get there, traffic, whatever it might be, that's even better. So if you have the ability to do that, do that. So the idea here is get there on time, get there early, but then do the interview on time. Now let's say you are late. Well, for a couple things you can do. First is take some deep breaths. Just take it in, let it out, right? Common thing, you see athletes do it, psychologists tell you these things. Take a couple deep breaths before you go in the door, actually. Those extra 5 seconds to take a couple deep breaths is not going to make the difference. You're already late. And if you're late and when you start talking with the interviewer, apologize for being late. I mean, just say up front, boy, you know what? This is not like me. I'm late. I really apologize for it. If there's a legitimate excuse or something that comes up like, there was a traffic accident, it slowed me up. I'm so sorry. Something like that, and then let it go. Recognize that you're late, say that you're late, apologize for being late. It's a professional thing to do, but that's it. You're not begging, you're not like, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't believe it, all this terrible, I'm late, oh my God. Forget it. Professionals, apologize, I'm sorry I'm late, this is what happened, won't happen again. I'm really glad you're meeting with me and I appreciate the interview. I've got a lot to share and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you today. Just that simple, just that fast, and then move on. Because you can't change it. You can't change that you're being late. But now that you're in, now you can use all the other stuff so you can be great. And you can be great in the interview. And at the end of that, nobody's going to care. They might make a little note like was late to the interview, but they see everything else, especially if they put a little note like and have the excuse, they're going to let that go. Now, and they're going to want to focus on you as a great candidate. If you're getting knocked out just because you're a couple minutes late, then that's probably not the right place for you. If you're an hour late or something like that, then maybe you want to call and reschedule or cancel the interview, or certainly contact them, telling them what's happening so they're not waiting around for you. But if you're a few minutes late, 5 minutes late or so, just go in, apologize, and then move on. That's the key thing, is to move on. Now, your next interview with that organization, you got to be there in time. You got to be early, because if it's in their notes that you're late and you're late a second time, well, then you're done. Then that shows that you're just not serious, or you're not a professional person, or you're not a reliable person. So you can't be late the second time. So my advice, never be late. Never be late, because it's going to cause nervousness in you and you're not going to give a great performance. It's going to be hard to give a great performance in an interview when you're late. So be there on time, be relaxed, move on, and always be either early for your interviews, but then start on time with your reviews, maybe a few minutes before the interview starts, and then you'll be great. And that'll eliminate easily the number one cause of nervousness in interviews.